My name is Bolaji Akinyemi. I want to welcome you to Kalate World Outreach, having a special program called the VAEC program. It's all about raising kingdom financier. I just thought it wise to prepare you for what to expect. Kingdom financier. At a time like this, I believe there's no better program for you to attend and be a part of online than this program. Wonderful speakers are put together from all across the globe to enrich you and prepare you for a life of productivity. I want you to take advantage of the program. There are few things I want to share with you about raising kingdom financier. The first thing you need to know is that everyone is a potential kingdom financier. That is the way God detailed it to be. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 29, the Bible was talking about what God said. He said, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb's bearing seed. Take note of it. Every herb's bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be a meat. The herbs had seed, the fruit had seed. God was pointing something out to man. If you go back to verse 28, the 28th verse was talking about, and God blessed them, and God said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and have dominion. In verse 29, it was telling them about the secret of the dominion. It is in the seed of the things that you are given. Everything that God had given to you has a seed. The seed is meant to be invested. The seed is meant to be given. The seed is meant to be planted. So God said, I have given every man a potential that is required for him or her to be able to maximize life. Now, so every one of us is a potential kingdom financier. There's something that God had given to you in form of a seed, which you can invest to bring return and thereafter be able to expand the kingdom. But not everyone can expand the kingdom. It takes having a heart for the kingdom for you to be able to play your role as God has mandated you to be able to enrich humanity and fulfill the purpose of God. Now, what does it mean to have a heart for God? In Luke chapter 12 and verse 34, the Bible said, for where your treasure is, there will your heart also be. Now, what is your treasure? Your treasure necessarily does not have to mean money. There is a seed that God has given to you. The potential, something that God had deposited in you. It could be a talent. It could be a skill. Whatever it is that God has given to you is a seed. It is meant to be invested. That is your treasure. The Bible said, where the treasure of a man, he said, there will his heart be also. Let me ask you, where lies your investment? Your singing chorus that God gives to you. What type of songs are you using it to sing? Because where you throw it, where you invest it, that is where your heart will be. It goes to mean that wherever you put your seed is where your heart will lie. So if you are fond of planting your seed in the kingdom, there is a tie between you and the kingdom. So everyone is giving something, but not everyone will be a kingdom financier. Not everyone will be towards the kingdom. So there is an effort on your part that must be made for you to be a kingdom financier. What is the part that you have to make? What is the effort that is required of you? Whatever it is that you have must be given towards the kingdom. Now, for you to be an effective kingdom financier, you also must understand that there is the need for covenant understanding and commitment. The need for you to have covenant understanding and commitment. It's intriguing to know that Jesus says something in Luke chapter 12 and verse 24. He said, consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouses nor barn, and God feedeth them. How much more are ye not better than the fowls? Now this was Jesus speaking in this, and he was asking us to look at the ravens, asking man to take a lesson from the ravens. Why would Jesus ask us to take a lesson from the ravens? If we read from the beginning of that part, he has talked about a man whose ground brought so much, a man who invested the seed and so much came to him. And the Bible said about that man, he was a self-centered man, he was a selfish man. All he was concerned about after the harvest was high. God gave him a bountiful harvest that far outweighed the quality of the seed that he sowed. How do I know that? The Bible said when the harvest came, he had to break down his barn and abandon the storehouses because the harvest was more than what he prepared for. And so many people also have blessed out of life. But not everyone blessed out of life are given back to the kingdom or are able to acknowledge that God is the giver of whatever it is that they have received. And Jesus said, consider the ravens who do not sow nor reap. Why? Because in Genesis chapter 8 and verse 22, the Bible says, while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest time. Remember before the fall, God in Genesis chapter 1 verse 29 said, I have given you seed. After the fall and the wiping out of the first earth and the second opportunity given to Noah, God emphatically said, while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest time shall not cease. Now, that is a golden rule. That is a natural law. That is a principle. Whether you are born again or you are not born again, it is binding on everyone who is on this side of time. Now, Jesus was now saying that that principle, that covenant that is existing between man and God is not extended to the ravens. Now, ravens has been able to keep their estate, but man had not been able to keep his own estate. The estate of man is to understand this principle of life, that it takes the sowing of seed to command and harvest. But what is the differences between the estate of man and the estate of the ravens? That God wants us, that Jesus precisely will want us to learn from the ravens. Now, we cannot understand this except we take a look at the book of Job 38 and verse 41. In Job 38 and verse 41, the Bible said, who provided the ravens its food when his young one cried unto God, they wander for lack or for want of meat. Now, ravens are carnivorous birds. They eat flesh. But unfortunately, God who created the ravens exactly to look like the eagle, with claws, with beak, deprived the ravens of the ability to hunt. He created the eagle with so much expertise and skill when it comes to hunting. The eagle can be at 10,000 feet above the sea level. 10,000 feet above the sea level. And from that height, spot a rat and come down from that height to pick up the prey. That was a skill. He has the ability to be traveling at 150 kilometers per hour and make a sharp turn. That is the skill. You can't maneuver a car at that speed and take a turn. But the eagle has all of this expertise. Now that same God created the ravens and said, ravens, you will have to eat what the eagle will eat. But I deprive you of the skill of the eagle. But what is it that God wants us to learn from the ravens? I will tell you shortly when we look at the book of Psalm 147 and verse 9. Now the Bible said, he giveth to the beast his food, and to the young raven which cried. Take note of the word cry that in the passage we read in Job, and the word cry in this verse that we read in Psalm. What is it about the cry of the ravens? Now the covenant authority that heaven had given to the ravens is that every time the raven cries, there will be a supply. How do I mean? Ravens can see a particular kind of animal in the wilderness. and then want that same animal for lunch or for dinner or for breakfast, as the case may be, but it does not have what it takes to kill it. One interesting thing about ravens also is the fact that they do not like meats that are smaller than them. They prefer eat big. So they could look at the buffalo and say, I wish I can have this buffalo for lunch. But it cannot kill a rat. But the moment the ravens cry, the nature's network is able to communicate to other predators in the wilderness that cry is symbolizing that there's a food somewhere. And you see this predator, either lion or tiger or whatever, come over to where the raven have just cried, and then they're able to bring that buffalo down. And as soon as the buffalo is down and they are tearing it. Now, I need to also say this to you. Ravens can't tear the outer skin of animals except those animals are ruptured. That's why you see them eating carcasses, old carcasses. But to eat fresh meat, they will have to wait on these predators to tear the outer skin. They cannot have access to the inner flesh. And so you see them wait until the animals, let me call them destiny helper. Let me call them destiny helpers, have come, or covenant helpers. They have come to bring the animal down and to tear the outer skin. Then the ravens want to take over. And once the raven perch on that animal, on that carcass, and cry the second cry, which is different from the cry of come and help me. This second cry, I don't know how God wired it, but when He said it, it's an authority, a covenant authority commanding these predators to leave whatever it is that they're having or holding on to leave it for the ravens. And you see them go away one after the other, and the ravens will take over. Jesus said, consider the ravens, who neither sow nor reap like man. But in spite of that, God feeded them. God provided for them. How much more are you not more valuable than the ravens? So in the covenant operation, you must understand the need for you to understand the covenant relationship between you and God, the covenant principle that is in place for man. And what is that covenant principle? For as long as we are on this earth, as long as we are on this side of time, seed time and harvest time, that seed does not literally mean having seed in your hand. It simply means that the opportunity for you to make investment, it may be with money, it may be with talent, it may be with skill, it may be in your career, but there will always be opportunity for you to give something so that you can have back in exchange. Now, every kingdom financier must know that whatever it is that they are giving to the kingdom is not a waste, is an investment. But where in the world is this investment going? Now, you need to be a kingdom addict. Excuse me. You need to be a kingdom addict for you to be able to make kingdom investment. Because kingdom investment are not things you see. Kingdom is not investment are not houses built. Kingdom investment are not cars you are riding. Kingdom investment are the lives of people you are touching, the souls you are winning into the kingdom. Or better still, let me lay it in order of priority. The souls you are winning in the kingdom, the souls you are equipping for the kingdom, the humanity you are touching for the better, those are kingdom investment. Kingdom investment is never the number of houses that you have, but you can have several houses to be able to make more money to put in the kingdom work. But you must understand that the life of a man does not consist in the abundance of the things which he possesses. In kingdom investment, you must understand that the investment is about the kingdom. So it takes a man who is an addict, completely and totally sold out to the kingdom, for him or her to be able to continue to finance the kingdom. I want us to see something in Luke chapter 12 and verse 33. Jesus was talking here. He says, sell that you have and give alms. How do you ask an individual to sell his house, sell his car, sell everything that he has, and then go give it to the poor? That is crazy. That is abnormal. That is out of the usual. But kingdom financiers are men who sees beyond the normal. They are crazy people. They are people who are drunk about the heartbeat of God and a desire to fulfill sin. He said, and then provide yourself bags which wax not old. So there are bags that wax old. Provide yourself bags, store places where you are going to make your investment, and then you are not afraid of the value of your investment dropping. It simply means that every investment made in the kingdom does not drop value. Every investment made in the kingdom is always appreciated. How will not want to make such an investment? You are well assured by the Lord that every single investment made into the kingdom can only yield in 100-fold, and sometimes way over the measure of the mind of man. Then he went further in that verse also. He said, which wax not old, and treasure, provide yourself treasure in the heaven that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupted. So the investment you make in the kingdom cannot be stolen by thieves. It's not a place where you put your pension and then you start having pension scam. It's not a place you put your investment and then thief can approach. It's a place where whatever you put. Now let me correct the impression, especially as things goes around. There are people in ministry who are there for their belly. People that when you put money, into their ministry, they are the one eating it up. But we have a consolation from God, because men like that will answer to God, even though we demand accountability and credibility from men of God. But whatever it is that you have given to God, or you have invested in the kingdom, Jesus said you have a return on it. What a good news. Who will not want to make such an investment? But it takes you being a kingdom addict for you to be completely sold out to the things of the kingdom. Now, what other things that you must be cognizant of is the fact that the reason for kingdom investment is because there's something that God desires for it to spread. You must be a spreader of the kingdom mandate. There's something that God wants to spread, and that is why God is going to bring so much wealth into the kingdom. In Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 17, the Bible said, cry yet, was talking to his prophet Zechariah, cry yet, say, thus saith the Lord of hosts, my city through prosperity yet shall spread abroad. My cities. The word cities is in plural. The city of the Lord that we know is the city of Jerusalem. But I believe that the reason why the word cities is used is to denote both the earthly Jerusalem and the heavenly Jerusalem. The earthly Jerusalem is the one to which the Jews are committed to. And you see the fight for that Jerusalem, even in the media, the pronouncement of the American president. Everybody is trying to recognize the fact that that city belongs to the Jews. And the Jews have always gone everywhere in the world to return back to that Jerusalem. Listen to me, there is a Jerusalem that is far higher, far more important than the earthly Jerusalem. That Jerusalem is the heavenly Jerusalem, to which men who have been sold to the kingdom, who have received the kingdom, will all look earnestly for. But the Bible said to spread the message and the good news of that city, prosperity is needed. My city shall be spread through prosperity. That is the reason why we need kingdom financier. We live in a time when people are too mindful of themselves and so concerned about themselves and themselves alone. And God will want to raise kingdom financier. Let me share with you before I bring this to a close. There is a man by the name of Henry J. Hens. I know you are familiar with the Hens product, that you have the ketchup, the baked beans, different kind of things. Now, way back in the 18th century, 1896 to be precise, way back in the 18th century, 1896 to be precise, he was taking a ride in a train in the city of New York, and then he saw an advert, a shoe advert, and the advert said they had 21 styles of shoe, and he caught a vision. There and then he was already producing about 60 different products, but decided to begin to advertise his product, saying that there are 57 kind of Hens product. Now, why did he come to that? He was a believer. He was somebody who believed so much in God. He was somebody who was sold out to financing the kingdom. And it will interest you to know that Hens was not a tither. Hens had a personal covenant with God, that because you are God, you should take more than I will take. So you will take 90% and then I will take 10%. Hens was doing 90 to the kingdom and 10 to himself. And so when he stumbled on this, he decided to come up with, there are 57 products of Hens, taking the word 5 from grace and the word 7 from perfection. It became a covenant relationship between him and God. And all through his life, this man did 90 to God, 10 to himself, and he never diminished. You can attest to the fact that God took the Hens product everywhere in the world, and even now as we speak, the Hens product is a giant in the food processing industry. That is what God can do for a man. Hens was able to understand that after our sojourn on earth, there is a place where we're going to return, and there's a need for us to put more into that place than we put here. This takes beyond the natural for a man to understand. So kingdom financiers are men who want to put more there than they are putting here. Are you interested in becoming a kingdom financier? Let me let you know that it's not possible for you to finance a kingdom you are not a part of. I've told you about having the heart for the kingdom. How do you have a heart for the kingdom? The Bible said, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom. And the Bible said, went further in John chapter 3 verse 5, he said, except a man be born of the water and of the word, he cannot enter into the kingdom. There's a need for you to become a kingdom citizen for you to be able to finance the kingdom. Some of the things they are saying in town make sense to the natural man, but they do not make sense to the spiritual man. The spiritual man cannot be pegged down to 10% because of the heart that he has for God. He wants to do more for God. It takes a deeper understanding. I know you want to love God in that dimension. So please be a part of VAEC this year and become a kingdom financier. Receive Jesus into your life. Embrace the gospel. And it's going to be a new beginning. See you on the other side of prosperity. God bless you.